दन्ति शस्त्राणि नैनं दहति पावकः न चैनं क्लेदयन्त्यापो न शोषयति मारुतः।
As I come awake to the peacock call, as I come awake to the peacock call, blue it sounds in my ears. I open my eyes. It's happened to me many times, but a few people, when we're doing programs and they, especially on the initiation days, they come and tell me, we just sit there and when you looked at us, somehow it was all blue. Why is it? So I usually joke with them and say, maybe you're having your blues or and leave it at that. Why blue? Among the three basic colors of red, green and blue, in your perception, according to color cones in your eye, which is the basis of your recognizing color, only these three colors are most dominant: red, green and blue. There are so many other colors which human beings don't see, at least they normally don't see, because the color cones in your eyes mainly recognize red, blue and green. Of these three colors, you will see different religions in the world have chosen these three colors. Some have chosen green, some have chosen orange or red, and some blue. In terms of one's evolution, there are various hues that one's aura can take. People, I'm talking about those people who are sensitive to such things. When they saw me about 12, 13 years ago, they would always talk about me being orange or on the verge of magenta kind of situation. But these days people always talk about blue, because these are two different basic dimensions that people take by choice. If we make the ajna very important in our sadhana, then orange will be the dominant color. That will be the color of renunciation. That will be the color of austerity, asceticism, kriya. Blue is the color of all-inclusiveness. You will see in the existence, anything that is vast beyond your perception generally tends to be blue, whether it's the ocean or the sky. These are the two things which are not perceivable in normal terms. Anything which is larger than your perception tends to be blue because it is the basis of all-inclusiveness. Today it's good that all of you have turned blue. As you know by now, Krishna is supposed to be blue-bodied. This blueness need not necessarily mean his skin color was blue. People who are aware, maybe he was dark-skinned, but people who are aware saw the blueness of his energy, so they went about describing him as blue. In all descriptions, irrespective of which part of the country it comes from, blue is one thing common that was maintained about Krishna's nature, because his all-inclusiveness is one thing that nobody could deny. There are many disputes about who he is, what he is, but nobody could deny that he is all-inclusive in his nature. So the blue, the theme of blue remain common wherever it comes from, whichever corner of the country it comes from. He is a blue boy. Because of his blue, because of his energy being blue, more than his skin being blue, because the outermost ring of his aura was blue, he was simply irresistibly attractive. Not because of the shape of the nose or shape of the eyes or this or that. There are any number of people with good noses and good eyes and good bodies, but they will not carry the same level of attraction. It is the blueness of one's aura which suddenly makes that person hugely, irresistibly attractive. They say Krishna was visibly blue, but that's 3,000 years of lore. So this blueness, this sense of all-inclusiveness in him was such that even people who were sworn enemies to him, when they sat with him, unwittingly they gave into his ways. People who stood up and abused him and wanted to kill him, were plotting to kill him, any number of times he just turned them around effortlessly. There are various other aspects to him, but the blue was in constant assistance for everything that he did. Because of this blue nature, he became irresistible for both men and women. They shamelessly fell in love with him. Whether you were a man or a woman did not matter. People just fell in love with him, and both men and women couldn't take their eyes off him. Of course, women went a step further. Because man has this unfortunate problem that it's very difficult for him to express his love. Woman has come with this advantage. She can just do it very easily. She can simply do it very easily anywhere. A man has to work up his whole system to get there to say one word. Krishna was not made like that. He freely expressed, nor do I have any problem. But generally the nature of the masculine is such, if the emotion of love arises with him, he will do funny things, stupid things. He will become awkward. But when the emotion of love arises in the feminine, that is the time a woman becomes most beautiful. But the masculine becomes awkward and uncomfortable with love. He's good with action. He doesn't want to love, he wants to make love. So we will today just look at a few, just a few, I'm telling you, of the women in Krishna's life. Magnificent woman. There were many others, but we cannot go into all that. Just a few of them who are very contrasting, very different type, but all of them were head over heels with him. So we will just look at a few women devotees, or they didn't call themselves devotees, they were his lovers. Starting with Yashoda, his foster mother. She was deeply in love with the boy, not just as her son, much more than that. She not… when he was very young, yes, as an infant, it was all about the beautiful child that she had. But as he grew too rapidly. His growth is phenomenal. No mother can adjust her motherhood to that kind of growth. So her motherhood fell off somewhere by the time he was 5, 6. After that she couldn't really be his mother. She became more of his lover. She just loved him. So Yashoda's relationship with Krishna grew. That she also became one of the gopis. She was also part of the ras. She did not like Radhe because she thought this girl, she described her as too forward, whatever that meant. This girl did not have the normal demeanor of a village girl, the normal demeanor that is expected of a village girl. She is little too outgoing. So she felt this tomboyish girl is hijacking her wonderful son. But she couldn't help joining the ras conducted by Radhe after Krishna left. Krishna never went back even to see his mother. Many times he was right across the river in Mathura, but he did not go back to Vrindavan because he did not want to take away their joy of knowing that cowherd boy, carefree cowherd boy. He didn't want to go as a new missionary that he's become. He said, I don't want to destroy their dream. They are happy and fine the way they are. Now, I have this terrible role of bringing dharma to the world where I have to do many things. They will be heartbroken to see me like this. They saw me as an absolutely carefree cowherd boy. Let it be that way. So Yashoda also became a gopi along with Radhe because Krishna was no more her son. The blue did its magic with her also. Putana, an assassin who was sent by Kamsa, who had ruthlessly gone about murdering many just-born infants, because Kamsa said, all the children born in that month must be killed. So the job was given to her and she went about killing children. When she located Krishna and she came, and she transformed herself with certain magical powers into an extremely attractive woman. And she walked in with a royal bearing into the house. People were amazed looking at this woman, the way she was dressed and the way she was. She came and she said she wants to take the child in her arms. She took the child and walked away and sat outside. And she had smeared her breasts with poison. So, just like she wants to feed the child, in those times, in this country, any woman who could nurse the child could nurse the child. It was considered as a great offering to the child. It is not necessarily just the biological mother, because there is no contraception and those kind of things. Most young women were somewhere there, they fed each other's children. It was not a big taboo as it is today, that the child has to drink only its biological mother's milk. So Putana took the child. She has come to kill Krishna with a poisoned breast. But she just looked at him and the blue magic got her. She was so deeply drawn to the child. Suddenly, her maternal instincts rose within her. Now she didn't want to poison the child, she really wanted to give herself to the child. She just looked at his face, his twinkling eyes, and above all, the blue. It just really got her. Then she said within herself, I have come to fulfill Kamsa's orders that I must kill you. I have poisoned my breast. But you suck my milk, not just my milk, you suck my life if you want. Take my life away through this. I'm willing, but this is a fortune for me that I can feed you. My breast is poisoned, but my heart is longing that you must take not just my milk but my life too. So with extreme love, but still with a poisoned breast, she tried to feed the child. Krishna just sucked the life out of her right there. Right there, she fell dead, with a big smile on her face. The last thought on her mind was that my life is being sucked away by the Lord Himself. What more do I want? So, the assassin who came to kill him got entangled in the blue magic. and fell in love with him within a few minutes that she was with him. This was the impact. This was the devastating impact that he had on people. That a cowherd boy who stepped out of his village at the age of 16 and spent a few years of study with the Guru Sandipani, within the next few years, he rose to such a stature. By the time he was 28 or 29, he was a kingmaker. He was a kingmaker. He made and unmade kings, though he himself never became a king. Everybody offering their kingdoms to him, everybody offering big kings and emperors offering their daughters to him, which he never took. Another woman who played a very important role in his life was Rukmini. Rukmini was his first wife. Rukmini happened to be in Mathura when Krishna entered the wrestling ring with that master of Bahuyuddha, Chanura, and in the same situation he slew Kamsa, the king of Mathura, which was his first step towards destroying the tyrannical rule and establish some semblance of balance in the kingdom there. She was a witness to that. Before that, the folklore, even before he left Vrindavan at the age of 16, the folklore had carried many live tales of his Ras Leelas all over the country. People sang ballads and spread the message of the beauty of his dance and the beauty of what was happening in Vrindavan. The simple village folk, how they had come together in Krishna's presence, how they enjoyed the joy and love of being together. This had spread in the folklore. Even as a child, she had heard about these things. She was just about 12, 13 years of age when she witnessed Krishna slaying Kamsa. So from that moment she made up her mind. She was a princess, daughter of King Bhishmaka, who was the king of Vidarbha. She made up her mind, if she marries, she is going to marry only Krishna, nobody else but Krishna. Krishna is not yet anything. He is just a cowherd boy who performed one heroic act. But this princess of a very large kingdom now wants to marry him, and she's only 12. So from that day she started plotting in many different ways as to how to woo him. It came to his notice. He had an eye that he wouldn't miss anybody's emotion and intention. Because of the tumultuous life that followed the next few years and his brahmacharya, even when he was a brahmachari, because this was a traveling school, when it went in the direction of Vidarbha, Rukmini made sure she was there to give alms to him. As a brahmachari, when he went and said Bhikshandehi, she was one of the first ones to come and give alms to him. She travelled along, not in the same group, but she travelled along and gave alms to him wherever he went. She was not the only woman. She is prominent, I am making her prominent because she got to marry him later. There were many others, dozens of them, who were trying to follow him and somehow get into his eye. The blue magic was just driving people mad. He enjoyed it, but he never misused it. He never abused his magic. He just was seeing how to raise those people. If love arises in a human being, for whatever reason, whether you fell in love with a man or a woman or a donkey, it doesn't matter what. But if love has risen within you, any sensible person would only want to nurture it, not kill it. Maybe redirect it because it's not workable. Certain types of emotions are not workable, he may want to redirect it, but he will never want to kill it. So Krishna allowed his blue magic to play. He encouraged them to love, but he was just constantly trying to rechannel their love into a more productive affair for themselves rather than they getting frustrated and jealous that they can't get him. He constantly worked towards this. There are a million situations in his life where he is trying to redirect a woman's love into a more positive and productive way of making herself into a higher possibility rather than just making into a biological longing. So Rukmini, whenever she could or whenever she found the opportunity, she always came to Mathura for every festival, for everything, just hoping to get a glimpse of him and just managing to have a word with him. Krishna saw Rukmini's determined approach towards him, but he didn't want to encourage that kind of love affair with her because she is a princess and he is not a king. So marrying her is out of question, so he doesn't want to inflame those kind of things, he always tried to play it down. But at the same time, he is not the kind to kill the love in her. So he did pay enough attention, but trying to redirect it. But Rukmini was very determined woman. When his friend Uddhava visited Vidarbha and Rukmini expressed her determination that no matter what, I am only going to marry Krishna and nobody else but Krishna. If he refuses to marry me, I will enter the fire and end my life. Because her brother Rukmi was planning to get her married to a king of Chedi called Shishupala, because that would be a good alliance. He had imperial ambitions. Rukmini's brother had great ambitions of marrying Rukmini to Shishupala and he himself marrying the Emperor Jarasandha's granddaughter and form a grand alliance. Emperor Jarasandha was growing old, so he calculated once he moves to the land of his ancestors, he is the only powerful man around and he could become the emperor of the place. So he had very grand imperial ambitions. For him, Rukmini was an important cog in the whole machine to get him there. Rukmini saw through this and she was a very vociferous girl who was not contained by she being a woman in any way, that she spoke her mind out with such vehemence that they didn't know what to do with her. Many times Her brother wanted to strike her down, but he wouldn't dare because she was such a fiery woman. So when Uddhava came back from Vidarbha and told Krishna, Rukmini is bent on marrying only you and you alone, otherwise she will kill herself. Krishna laughingly said, I have heard many other princesses saying the same thing, but now they're married to somebody else and they're living happily ever after. It's all right. It's all right for the girls to say that. But anyway, they will marry somebody that's convenient tomorrow and live with them. Uddhava said, no, you're mistaken. This is a very determined woman. She has a mind of her own. She is a very determined person. Then Krishna said, then why should such a determined princess marry a worthless cowherd like me? Let her find some nice prince for herself. But she wouldn't leave. It went on. It so happened, when Krishna had to leave Mathura and go away with Balarama, to avoid Jarasandha coming and burning up the town, Rukmini's grandfather, Kaishika, gave refuge to them because Rukmini threatened her grandfather, if you don't provide refuge to these two boys who need this help right now, I'm going to kill myself right here in front of you. So he had no choice, so he housed these two boys for some time. And later, when it was decided that they will have a Swayamvara for Rukmini. Swayamvara means a festival of choice where the princess can choose her man. But it was all a fixed up Swayamvara, it was a fake Swayamvara because there was really no choice. They invited only those kings that they know who will not make a claim for the girl. So it was all fixed up that anyway she can marry only Shishupala. And the Emperor Jarasandha himself was there to ensure that it happens. So this was building up, and in every possible way, Rukmini fought with her father and brother. But they wouldn't give in. They had prepared the whole town for festivities. Leaving her royal whatever protocol, she went on the streets pulling down all the decorations that were made on the street which was unthinkable in those days, a princess going on the street and pulling down the decorations that were made for the festival of choice. But still the inevitable came that this fake festival of choice was bound to happen and trap Rukmini in the process. So she made up her mind, if I cannot avoid it, I will end my life. In the meantime, Krishna was going about as if he was totally unconcerned about these events. And for a totally different reason, he organized a chariot race in Mathura, which had not happened for a very, very long time. Many people, many Yadava leaders and chiefs protested against this chariot race. What is the point? A fanciful sport? When there is work to do, when there are so many things to do, what is the point of doing a sport like this? Krishna said that if we can have 1,000 chariots with skillful men handling it, if we pull off such a big event, the Yadava prestige will go up in the eyes of other kings. That's a power by itself. So let's do the festival. So people started training under the guidance and training of Guru Sandipani and Shvetaketu. They started training young men. Vigorous training was given, so many people learnt how to handle the chariots and horses very skillfully for a few months. And this chariot race was fixed on the same day as the festival of choice in Vidarbha for Rukmini. So Rukmini felt desperate. How can he go on like this? I have expressed my love 1,000,000 times, he's not responded, and today my life is going to be fixed, and he's having a chariot race. But in the meantime, Krishna was encouraging the king Ugrasena, the Yadava king, to take his son, to appoint his son as the regent and go to the festival of choice uninvited. But that would not come through. So, this race is supposed to happen, everything has built up. But 3 days ahead of the race, suddenly half the men who were supposed to participate in the race just disappeared in the middle of the night. And Krishna spread stories that Satyaki, his close friend and lieutenant, has fallen apart or has turned against Krishna and has left with half the army. He just spread these stories and people started gossiping about it. His closest aide has left him, he's finished. And then they found the night before the festival of choice or the race, both being on the same day, the remaining half left along with Krishna. So on the day of the festival of choice in the morning, this whole army, Yadava army, just gathered around the palace of Bhishmaka or Rukmini's father. Suddenly there was fear. Such a big army, with Krishna leading the army, they were right there. Unnoticed, they split themselves into many groups, from every direction they came and converged. So they thought Krishna has come to abduct Rukmini and take her as his wife. But when he came, he left his army outside, unarmed, with gifts for the king. He walked into the city, totally unarmed. They were surprised, why this fool is coming without even a sword to protect himself. But he walked with wonderful gifts to the king and the grandfather who had given him refuge a few years ago. They were disarmed by his demeanor and his blue. He had no sword, but he was armed with the blue, which others could not see. And then he said, I have not come to claim the bride. That's not the reason why I have come. What is happening here is injustice. I have just come to stop it. The girl is being given away without her will to somebody that she does not want to marry. And this Swayamvara or this festival of choice is a sacred ritual that we have carried on for thousands of years. Now you are making it into a sacrilege by fixing it up in such a way that the girl really has no choice. So I have come to stop the Swayamvara, not to take the bride. You cannot conduct the Swayamvara. And his army stood in a threatening manner around. Nobody else was ready for a battle at that moment. So they all backed down and cancelled the Swayamvara. The emperor himself, Emperor Jarasandha, was boiling within himself because already he has many scores to settle with Krishna, and this shame that he has to back out and go back to his kingdom, he could not bear. He swore, I will drink the blood of this boy, that he has put me to such shame. So Rukmini's story continued like this. And again after a few years, another Swayamvara was fixed up. By now it was very clear to her that she is not going to marry anybody no matter what. And she had made it clear, and Rukmini's determination and the way she fought had spread all over, and it had become a kind of legend in her living time that a princess is really standing up and fighting against her father and the emperor and her brother and everybody concerned to whatever she loves, to make that manifest. Never before another princess has stood up and fought against so many forces, but she was fighting and being successful. In the meantime, Krishna had to leave Mathura with his whole population. A great exodus happened, like we were looking at this yesterday. 2,200 kilometers trek for the whole population from Mathura to Dwaraka. When they were going, we went through this yesterday. A point came at the river crossing, he had to risk his life. He decided to sacrifice himself to save others and went back to Kalayavana. When he went there, when he was leaving, he told Uddhava, "Death looks certain to me. It takes more than a miracle for me to come out of this situation. Most probably I will not come back. So just tell the people that they must stick to dharma. My life is worth sacrificing. Only if they are going to live righteously, they should not go in unrighteous ways. Let them go and prosper in Dwaraka, but they must stick to dharma." And he made one more last request, that don't allow this to happen to Rukmini, she will die. If you don't go and get her forcefully, she will anyway kill herself. So as soon as you reach Dwaraka, gather a few young men, go and forcefully take the girl and bring her back to Dwaraka, let her live there. Even if I am not there, at least let her not fall into somebody's hands where she doesn't want to go. Or before you reach, if she is dead, bring her ashes and establish a shrine for her, because the single-pointed love with which the girl has lived is very sacred. She is fit to be worshipped, so you must establish a shrine for her. And he left. Somehow it took more than a miracle for him to escape and also put an end to Kalayavana. And by the time he came, everybody believed that he was dead. And an army of Yadavas, to fulfill his word, they went to Vidarbha to get Rukmini. In the meantime, another Swayamvara compulsively happening. But with Uddhava's help and Shvetaketu's help, she had set up that she will escape from the temple and set fire to herself on the riverbank. And when they brought her to the riverbank, where she was to step into the fire, Krishna also made it back there, and he took her with him, and she was his wife for his life. So Rukmini rose in her stature because of her single-pointed blow madness. And there are many stories to depict who she was.